Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christy Ford. I'm the account executive at Online Resources and your moderator for today. We would like to welcome everyone to the 3D Lunchbox Webinar, Virtual Reality, A World Inside Our World. This will be the first webinar on this subject with more to come. A special welcome back to those of you who have joined us before, and thank you all for taking a few minutes over your lunch today to be here with us. We have some exciting things to share. A quick reminder, please turn on full screen mode for better viewing of the presentations. In addition, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in as we go, and we will answer those after the presentation. Let's jump right in. Here with us today is Kate Hill. Kate is our Director of Engineering Services, and he is our resident expert in reverse engineering and GD&T applications. Kate's been with the company for the past 5 years and is a wealth of knowledge. So thanks for being here with us, Kate. I think we're going to pause here for just a second, actually. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to share a little bit about Online Resources and what we do here.
Sure, yeah. So Online Resources is a company that specializes in 3D scanning technology, both hardware and software. There are three sort of verticals or wings to the business, one of which, the area that I am in, is the Engineering Services Department. Basically what we're doing there is we're scanning parts from various areas in the manufacturing world, and we're performing reverse engineering processes on those, or we're providing quality control work, inspection work, things of that nature. We also have another area of the business, which is robotics. So taking the hardware, the scanning technology, putting it onto a robotic arm and doing things like inline inspection, automated scanning, things like that. And then the newest area of the business is called Connections XR. And in that vertical, we are concentrating on virtual reality, augmented reality, things of that nature.
Awesome, thank you, Kate. Well, we have invited two very special guests here with us today. They are here to share with you about our new division, Connections XR, and what uses virtual reality has in the real world. Let me introduce to you Derek Miller and Jenny Johnson. Derek is the Director of Content Development for Connections XR. Derek is a 3D developer with over 10 years of industry experience working for a variety of studios and companies, from automotive rendering for GM to 3D scanning for historical preservation. Derek brings extensive experience for 3D content development. So welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And Jenny, she is the Director of User Experience at Connections XR. Jenny is a librarian with over 20 years of experience managing the development and creation of multimedia digital collections. She has extensive experience organizing and managing large data sets for access and preservation. A couple of her favorite partnerships include the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Allison Transmission. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you.
We are excited to have both of you here with us today, and thank you for being here. If you don't mind, can you guys start off by taking a couple of minutes just to tell us a little bit about how Connections XR came to be and what exactly it's all about?
Yeah, thank you, Christy. We are really excited to be here with you this afternoon, and we have a lot to share, so I will get started. Our company is Connections XR, and we're a 3D content creation company, and it was created to take hardware and software that's been traditionally used for gaming and applying those same applications to real-world scenarios. So Kate and Derek are going to walk us through the steps of how we create a virtual reality experience. They're going to combine 3D scanning and modeling and programming and share some of these things we've created. So becoming part of a 30-year-old company focusing on 3D data collection is a natural match for Connections XR.
Awesome, thank you, and we thought so too. I do have so many questions for you guys. Let's start with what is virtual reality, because to be honest, the first thing that comes to my mind when it comes to VR is gaming.
Yeah, Christy, you are not alone in this. So a lot of people, when they hear the term virtual reality, they automatically go and they think about gaming. So if you're not a gamer, you really don't think about virtual reality, but there's so much more that you can do with it. And I hate that we only have 30 minutes to share some of the things that we've been doing. So virtual reality, it's really just a headset, and you put on a headset and you become immersed in a virtual environment. Imagine going to a movie theater and be completely surrounded by that environment. And with that immersive space, Connections XR is working with customers to create different types of experiences. Think about training and simulations, medical therapies, and it is even as simple as visiting a museum and checking out objects that have never been seen before by the public.
Wow, that's awesome. So you mentioned there are several avenues that VR can be used for. Can you give me some examples of what that would look like in a practical application?
Yeah, of course. So one of my favorite things about virtual reality is connectivity, and that's how you feel when you're in a headset. You have the ability to be in a virtual space, either by yourself or even with a group of people. So think about during the pandemic when businesses and organizations and schools and museums, they had to get creative about how they were going to perform their work. And what a great opportunity and a great time to think about virtual reality in the workspace. So just a few examples. Engineers. Engineers could be in the same experience or same virtual space, and you could be picking up engine parts or performing inspections. Imagine being a teacher with a classroom full of kids that are in headsets. Say you're teaching about Rome and you want to show them the Colosseum. The class could actually be standing inside the Colosseum and exploring that space. So there's so many endless possibilities for virtual reality.
That really is incredible. So I think I understand what you offer at Connections XR. You're creating virtual experiences for a variety of businesses, manufacturing, training, and even educational applications.
That's right.
How exactly do you create these worlds?
Yeah, so we use a variety of kind of like standard 3D modeling software, texturing software, and those kind of use cases. But what really kind of makes us unique and basically like why we kind of like align so well with online resources is our ability to take high grade 3D scanning data and basically import it inside of virtual reality applications. And again, instead of me talking about it, let me show you. So Cade, if you would, he's gonna step over and kind of show you some stuff. Jenny, would you mind telling us what exactly Cade is about to do?
Yeah, so our first demo is going to be of a 1956 outboard motor. This is an important artifact to our owner, Jay Schomburg's history or his childhood and living on the East Coast. And Cade, if you want to take this part of the demo and start showing this, that would be great.
All right, thank you, Jenny. As Jenny was saying, this is an antique Johnson outboard boat motor. And in my hand, I have the Creaform GoScan Spark. The benefit of a scanner like the GoScan Spark is its ability to capture not only the geometry of the part being scanned, but the color as well. So in a virtual reality area, this is beneficial to the content creator because not only do they have a base layer of geometry that they can use to their advantage, but they also have the base layer color as well. This will save them a lot of time in the texture painting process downstream when they're trying to set up materials and things of that nature. They have an actual starting point they can work with rather than doing everything from scratch.
Yeah, and this is huge because, you know, like more like traditional methods, we're having to either hand model things, convert CAD data, or sometimes you don't have access to, to kind of certain CAD data or texturing it. Like all this just takes so much time on the whole developer end. So basically scanning is really great where it really helps expedite the whole kind of like development and kind of manufacturing process. So once you kind of 3D scanned your object, we can put it inside of a virtual reality headset. So Cade here is looking at an actual motor of basically what we just scanned. So basically that same Johnson motor he can now see in the actual VR world. So Cade, if you would you mind stepping up to the motor and actually start, I guess, picking it up and then start playing with it?
Yeah, sure.
So as you hear, Cade can walk around. As he actually lifts his hand, he can actually view and kind of manipulate and kind of see that kind of data. And basically like, yeah, this is kind of cool. You can kind of see your data, but like what is the use case for this? So as you can imagine, you can have actual real world training applications for, for basically, they're very kind of complex manufacturing processes. basically manufacture, I guess like marketing applications and whatnot as well. And basically, Kate is seeing this data at a true world one-to-one scale, which is huge because a lot of times when like you see your kind of CAD data or kind of information, it's kind of portrayed on like a flat 2D monitor. It's not quite the same as actually interacting with your data in an actual, more natural kind of 3D space. It is also great where basically you have several people inside of a headset all come together and actually kind of see and kind of, and I guess like manipulate your data, as if you're there like in person. So yeah, it's pretty fun stuff.
So is this something with multiple people being able to be in the same space that you could have somebody looking at your CAD data, even though they don't actually have the CAD file, so you wouldn't have to share the file per se?
Yeah, yes, correct. So basically we can load up your data at the headset. Basically all you have to do, much like hosting like a Zoom webinar, you would just give them a link, and that way, instead of sending over CAD files or all this type of stuff, you can just join like a current meeting where all this is all kind of taking place. And again, it's like it's as if you're all interacting with the part on like a factory floor, on like an actual I guess location, but you're all there together inside the whole virtual world.
Very cool. So how long exactly does it take to go from an idea to an experience? Is the creation process lengthy?
Yeah, so it kind of varies. I mean, for more simple applications like this, where you just have a very basic environment and you're just throwing like your data into it, can take up to like a few days to a week. Whereas you can really get crazy. It can really get more expansive. We can add, big environments, multiple parts, multiple just kind of moving components, multiple training scenarios, all sorts of stuff. So, that could take up like, a few months to a year, depending on how kind of crazy and kind of how complex you want to take it.
Well, how customizable is it?
That's the crazy part. Pretty customizable. Like it's kind of wild. So basically, anything you can kind of imagine, you can kind of create, and it's a crazy kind of tool. Instead of me talking about it, Kate, would you mind hopping over into AJ's garage for us?
Sure thing.
So what Kate is about to hop into, it's an experience where basically it's a entire historical kind of VR application where basically the story is it's 1964. It's the night before the Indy 500, and Kate is he is AJ Foyt's head head crew chief mechanic, and for whatever reason his engine won't start. So he's asking Kate to rebuild the engine the night before the race. So no pressure, Kate. So basically, Kate's going to go through here, and basically he has to rebuild the engine. The entire environment, what you see here, the car, all the tools, all the artifacts, everything has been 3D scanned using that same scanner that basically Kate just had recently kind of showed you. So all the texture data, all the shape data, all of it is a historically accurate one-to-one scale to what would have been there back in 1964. And basically, Kate, can you move around the environment, pick up some objects to kind of show us what you can do?
So while he's doing that, I just wanted to comment. I've actually seen that car at the Indianapolis Motor
Scooter Museum.
There
yeah.
you go.
Yep.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, that's incredible. It looks just like it. So all of these parts that he's touching and that he's picking up, these are 3D scans of actual parts, of actual things, and then they're now sitting on shelves that can be picked up and manipulated inside of this environment.
Yeah. Yes, totally. And another good thing is like these are heavy steel engine parts, right? Where like to physically pick them up with your own hands would be very difficult. Whereas in the virtual world, gravity is it's not really a thing. So basically, he can pick up these large components, manipulate, edit them, and they're as light as a feather. Where basically you couldn't do that in the real world. So yeah.
Wow, that's really incredible. I just think about this and the experience of something like this, and just think how incredible this world actually is. If you were wanting to do something with training, I think about these engine parts, maybe that would be a good example, but putting something together in a proper order or, and I'm sure it gets more detailed than this,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Than just snapping on
Sure, right.
an engine together. But I just think that's really an incredible thing to really just discover and be able to use it in so many ways. Really exciting stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Well, I think at this point we have a few questions. So if we can kind of get started on those. I think the first question is going to be, how much does it cost?
Sure. So it's kind of a two-part question we get a lot is like, how much does a virtual reality headset cost? And so basically the model we showed you is the Meta Quest 2, very popular. It's about 60% of the market share of the whole VR kind of marketplace. It's pretty crazy stuff. They only retail for $299, which again, we're not trying to sell you a headset, but just that basically that's to tell you like how affordable they are to get really high quality VR hardware basically deployed for your kind of enterprise and the kind of application, which is, you know, pretty crazy stuff. Again, like these are more consumer grade. They're still a great headset, but, you know, of course, price wise, they can go up even higher. You know, you have your more, you know, like $1,000, $2,000 range for really, really high quality kind of rigs that kind of require like a very powerful kind of computer to run that. And again, so, you know, either kind of way you go hardware wise, both have great kind of like off the shelf apps that kind of come with them. But the biggest thing that basically we kind of find is that, you know, people, they'll get a VR headset. They start, they start doing games, they start doing these kind of custom stuff and like, wow, this is awesome. How do I create a custom experience that kind of tailored for my company's kind of use? And basically that's where we come in, is basically we found there's a huge need within the marketplace for, to use this technology, not just for gaming, but for business and for enterprise and for manufacturing, for healthcare, for all of these crazy things we're basically, like a lot of companies and kind of studios aren't kind of targeting. And that's where we're coming in.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a big question, isn't it?
You're right.
It looks to me like we've got a couple of other questions. Just want to peek and make sure I'm reading these correctly. They want to know how the headset works.
Sure. So again, going back to there are many different types of headsets out there, and they all kind of work and behave differently, but kind of similar. But for this instance, for the Meta Quest 2, it basically has these kind of camera trackers out here outside of the headset that basically, as you move and kind of rotate your head, in the real world, it'll track all that positional data from around you, and it'll basically mimic that inside the headset with basically two HD 4K lenses kind of inside. So basically, as you kind of move your kind of head around, it is actually moving all that digital space inside the headset. So it's wild. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is wild. I feel like we're heading into a whole new world. So that leads me to another question, and this is my question. How does it know where you can go and where you can't go? Because I've seen people walking with them in spaces, and then again, I've seen them stand still or be in a specific space. How does it know what's going on around you?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And for a lot of people, when they see VR, there's a lot of like VR fail videos out there, people running into walls, televisions, all that type of stuff. With the kind of meta system, basically there's what we call, it's a whole guardian system. It's basically you would set a defined safety area, like a nice play area, whether it's as small as a chair or as large as like a gymnasium, or basically you can set boundaries up to where basically if you start to leave that boundary, you will get notifications inside of the headset that'll kind of tell you like, hey, no, back up, kind of like, don't run to the wall, kind of go back to your kind of predefined safety area. Another great feature is if you have, small children, dogs, cats, anyone that kind of walks into your kind of safety area itself, it'll actually show you like an outline of them so that, so you can kind of avoid them and basically you're not being taken out of your kind of virtual experience, but you can see them, again, to kind of keep your kind of loved ones safe. So yeah, there's kind of built-in safety parameters that kind of make it okay for you.
That's super interesting. All right, let's see what our next question is. How do you get the experiences into the headset?
Yeah, so much like your smartphone, there's basically apps you can basically download on your headset. There's a whole marketplace out there, and as you start to accumulate apps, you'll have like a library of kind of different scenarios and kind of different experiences. If you're using a kind of desktop kind of system, basically you would plug it into like a very high-powered computer, and much like software on your machine, you basically run that application and it would basically load instead of your monitor, it would actually shoot to the headset itself there. So yeah.
That's interesting. So that's what we saw Cade doing earlier, as he was kind of seeing the screen and then he was flipping through the menu.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. You can have multiple applications inside of one headset. So it's not like you need to have one headset for one application. One headset can have hundreds of different type of scenarios, different type of training protocols, all that, all that baked into one kind of one kind of piece of hardware, which is great.
Super interesting. Okay, let's go to our next one. Oh, well, why would my company use VR is the next question, but can I expand this a little? I hope I don't, upset anybody by doing that, but I want to know why any company would use VR.
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess, Jenny, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, and I think Derek and I would both agree that this is probably our favorite question because it gives us an opportunity to talk to people about virtual reality and what they want to, what they do on their daily job and how they work and do workflows in their jobs. So VR offers such powerful solutions to workplace challenges. And as Derek mentioned earlier, if you can imagine it, we can probably build it. Something that may be impractical in the real world could probably be built in the virtual world. So for training, for example, VR has the ability to reduce costs, it improves retention and minimizes risk. So lots of opportunities for training. For marketing, projects could be showcased in VR. So customers could potentially try on clothing or look at clothing, for example, in a virtual space. For R&D, being able to explore and design and develop 3D objects and spaces. It's not, I think that we use the scanning to start with, the 3D scanning, but you can actually build those virtual spaces as well and create just different experiences. So yeah, we'd love the opportunity to talk to companies, see what the challenges might be and develop something for you. So,
Wow.
does that answer your question?
It is really incredible. Yeah, it's, just a little bit of blowing my mind today. I'll be honest, I have a question. I have never put on a headset. I don't know what virtual reality is like. As your moderator today, I feel a little out of place, but I wanted to ask this question. Can you describe what it's like to be in virtual reality?
Yeah, it's a great question where like, if you've never done virtual reality before, it's hard for me to explain it, but like there's so much, it's such a visual medium where like, that is mostly, it's kind of breathtaking, but but basically like when you put on the headset, you don't like, you feel like you're somewhere else. You feel like you're not in this location anymore. I mean, Kate, when you were in there, you do not feel like you were in this kind of studio anymore. You felt you were in AJ's garage, right?
Right. In fact, taking the headset off, it was almost like jarring to come back into the real world after you finish being in the virtual. It is that sort of immersive.
Yeah, it's wild in that, like, I mean, and there's tons of studies out there that basically have proven that like it's so immersive that like your brain is telling you that like, oh, this is actually happening. Basically, like, basically all these memories, all your stuff, like your brain is like recording that as real memory. Whereas, if you're watching like a television or a movie, your brain knows this isn't real, right? It's a two-dimensional screen, whatever. But like in VR, because it's that immersive, it is literally tricking your brain into thinking you're there. So for, again, going back to kind of training applications and whatnot, it's a really potent kind of educational tool, and for meeting places, right? Like, people love meeting in person. So you can imagine having that experience of like, feeling like you're meeting in person to like, to do all this stuff, but not actually being there. So it's just pretty wild.
I'll have to try it sometime.
Yeah.
I'll take your advice. All right, well, that is all we have for you today. If your question did not get answered, I have recorded it. One of our experts will be in touch with you within the next couple of days. This innovation with virtual reality and 3D scanning are enhancing our ability to interact with daily lives. And it's amazing what we're doing through these production processes. We hope this showcase provided a glimpse of how this technology will bring value and benefit to you and to your teams. If you're interested in learning more, hearing about the uses of virtual reality, both current and those we have in the R&D lab, please follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find us using @ConnectionsXR. Thank you again for joining us over your lunch for this episode in the 3D Lunchbox series. Thank you, Jenny and Derek. for your expertise and your presentations today. And thank you, Cade, for being here and
course.
being willing to help with the showcase. We
Yeah, thank you.
appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Those who are off screen today, they're also helping us, and we're grateful for your efforts in helping us make this happen today. As always, if you have any additional questions or needs, you can always call one of our experts at 765-482-9700, or you can email us at support@onlineresourcesinc.com. Thank you again, and have a great afternoon.
Bye,
Thanks.
thank you.
Bye.